Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Welcome back to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy.
What's up?
And
Good to be back.
Yep. So it's a quick review. Last time we were talking about, does diet or what you eat actually control your metabolism? And what was the verdict on that, Randy?
The answer was absolutely not. It has really nothing to do with what you weigh. In fact, what we're going to talk about is the continuation of that myth going into the eating less, which is a diet, and then the other method, which is, hey, move more. Eat less, move more, will fix all of your weight loss problems. It's not that food isn't important, right? It's not that exercise isn't important, but those are for your health. They're not for weight loss. And what we found, and this is a big mistake a lot of people make, is they use food and exercise inappropriately because they're using it to lose weight, right? So don't lose weight to get healthy to lose weight. Exercise is important. Nutrition is important. But let's talk about what really controls what people weigh. And that's a lot more simple and a lot more specific than just diet food and going to the gym.
Yeah. So the first thing that we got to do, which is what we talked about, if you listen to the last couple of episodes, is the first thing that you got to do is you really got to change your mindset, start changing your belief system around this. That really is step number one, because if you believe it's all about eating less, moving more, then you're going to be stuck in the same situation that everybody else has been stuck in. And that really has already been played out for us through a competition called the Biggest Loser contest. Remember when that used to be on TV, like Jillian Michaels and the one dude, I think he even had a heart attack.
Yeah, I think he did. And there's and what I loved was the reunion show.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? Why I didn't like that show?
Because there isn't one.
There is not a reunion show. But yeah, go through that because that did play it right out for us in full transparency. What happens when you calorically restrict and you engage in rigorous exercise without addressing the real cause of why somebody's overweight?
Yeah. So here's what they said. They went back there and they rechecked 14 of the contestants after they had done the program 6 years later.
Okay.
So what they were thinking is that here were all these contestants of this program. They surely would have had an increased metabolism as a result of losing the weight, doing all the exercise. And here's what they said is that they said that most of the contestants had regained the weight. And here's what they said about the metabolism. But their resting metabolism remains stubbornly slow, burning an average of about 500 fewer daily calories than before they even joined the show. So they were worse off after doing the show than they were before. So does that mean that exercise caused their metabolism to slow down, or decreasing their calories, made their metabolism slow down? Or is it a combination of those two things? What was it? And really the answer to that question is you can't heal somebody's or speed up somebody's metabolism without actually addressing the cause of why their metabolism isn't working to begin with. And like we talked about last time, if you hadn't heard the episode, go listen to it, because what you'll learn there is it's not about just decreasing the calories. That's the worst thing that you could do to somebody if you're wanting to truly heal and allow their metabolism to work better. Decreasing the calories is not the answer.
No, and like we talked about and we discussed, there's, how many thousands of programs are out there right now that are all, if you boil them all down, they all are basically reducing calories and then, basically threatening that if you don't go to the gym every day that you're lazy or that you're never going to lose weight. And let's really focus on that exercise piece today, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about exercise and really what's the best way to utilize it. And I know that in now my late 40s, I used to exercise 10 times more in my 20s and 30s, yet in my mid to late 40s, I'm now in peak physical condition and I work out a lot smarter, not necessarily harder. But here's the big myth tied to exercise is that you have to spend hours and hours a day in the gym. to deserve to be at a good weight? And Dr. Rob, the answer to that is what?
Is no, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is this is, even in my own experience, and we talked a little bit about this even last time and in previous episodes, I was overweight and really struggling. And I was that guy who was spending hours and hours in the gym just to maintain a healthy weight, right? Because I always had that feeling like, if I was going to be seeing a patient, I had to make sure that I was at a healthy weight, or how are they even going to take me seriously? But for me, that wasn't really a truly healthy weight. I can't tell you how many times I would get on the computer and I would Google to see what the best BMI was. And I was still always in the obese category because I was about 180, 185 pounds at 5'8.5", sometimes 5'9", just depending on the measurement. And it was always really frustrating because I'm like, how is it that I'm talking to this person about losing weight? They may lose a little bit of weight. I'm really struggling, but as soon as they stopped doing what I was telling them to do, they would gain it all back. And I was going through the same struggle myself. So I felt a little fraudulent in that. And so when I was injured 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and I couldn't exercise, then all of the weight came back with a vengeance, gained over 65 pounds, which, by the way, if you have to exercise just to maintain a healthy weight, and if you stop exercising only to gain the weight back, that right there is a telltale sign that you have a slow or an unhealthy metabolism.
Absolutely.
Yep. And there's science behind that.
Yeah, totally. Because we all know people that, and think about it, that don't even exercise and they're thin as a rail. Yet we know people who go to the gym hours and hours and hours a day and per week, yet they can't seem to budge. So clearly exercising doesn't make somebody overweight, and not exercising doesn't make somebody thin. Exercise, not to be redundant, but it's for your health. It's not for weight loss. So when I exercise, and I want to go back to your story too, because it's very powerful, because I watched you go through all this where you had to literally work out. You were running miles, like training for marathons.
Training for marathons was part of the way I even injured myself to begin with. And I was doing that because I felt like if I ran 10 miles or 9 miles today, that was somehow going to help me to burn more calories so that I can maintain that healthy weight. And if that didn't work, if 9 miles didn't work, then I was going to run 10 the next day.
I know. So it was like, how much more am I going to have to exercise or run when you look at your situation that you were in? But if you think about it, when you start looking at the science of this, how many calories does somebody have to burn in order to lose just 1 pound of fat?
It's 3,500 calories.
Say that again for those listening at home right now.
3,500 calories. So to put that into perspective, that's 70,000 steps if you're counting on an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, which is, it typically buzzes at about 10,000 steps. And the reason for that is because, 10,000 times 7 days in a week equals 70,000 calories, which is the calories that need to be burned to burn 1 pound of body fat. But that's only if you listened to the podcast last week, that's only if you didn't put any food into the system, because that would be more calories that would have to be burned, which would mean that you would now have to do more than 70,000 steps, which, by the way, that's a 34-mile walk or a 34-mile run.
Yeah, it's an hour a day, every day, literally.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly. Heck, I mean, I do some pretty vigorous workouts at times, and, I'll do them for 30, 40 minutes. And sometimes I'm only burning maybe 300 calories. So the working out and the burning of the calories is really never the goal in regards to weight loss. What is your body doing and how is it responding? And hormonally, what type of environment are you creating when you do work out, which is way more important? I would rather work out optimally in a proper hormonal environment for 20 minutes than to go for hours in a situation where my body isn't metabolically strong. And this is where we start looking at metabolism and why exercise really isn't the end all be all when it comes to weight loss and staying at a healthy weight. Is if you look at metabolism, it's basically what controls what burns the calories. It's called your basal metabolic rate. All right. That is the majority of what you do on a daily basis, just living, breathing, sleeping, not eating, and not exercising, talking, that's caloric expenditure and burning based off just your body's ability and what it needs to do on a daily basis to survive. So that's about 70% or more of what you burn on a daily basis. So right now, just sitting here, not exercising, not eating, not doing anything, we're burning calories, and a healthy metabolism will help you do that. Here's the big misconception is that food and exercise play the largest role. Yet when you look at food, when you eat, there is a little bit of an increase in your metabolic fire, or there's a thermogenic benefit, but it's very, very minimal. And it only equates to maybe 10 to 15% of your total metabolism. And then exercise is the other 10 to 15% of what you're burning when you're exercising. So it's very, very minimal. The majority of what you're burning is happening with the health of your body, chemically, physically, emotionally, and how is your metabolism really working? What toxins are you exposed to? What foods are you eating? How much are you exercising, right? What is your stress level? How much sleep are you getting? There's so many factors that go into it. The health of your endocrine system, your metabolic hormones, your sex hormones. It's not just one or two things, but you got to start looking at it differently. Can exercise indirectly influence your metabolism and a healthy weight? Absolutely. But if you're using it to burn calories and spend hours and hours a day doing that, thinking that if you just exercise more, you'll be at a good weight, you're going to end up frustrated, stuck, confused, and quitting. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like you said, Dr. Rob, ain't nobody got time for that.
No, and here's, yeah, we don't. So here's the thing though. Now, here's what we also know helps to burn calories. We know muscle does.
Yes.
So exercise is good. If you're going to do some strength training, there's nothing wrong with that, because we know the more muscle mass you have, the more ability your body has to burn calories.
And what's the science on that too, for those listening? If you don't know, there's a real scientific method here and a formula in the perfect world, but physiologically, muscle is a metabolic engine. It is your metabolic engine. And what is it? What's the science on that? For every pound?
So for every pound of muscle that you have in a perfect world, that pound of muscle has the ability to burn up to 50 calories at rest.
Yeah.
So if you've got 100 pounds of muscle times 50, that means that your body could have the ability to burn up to 5,000 calories. And by the way, that's average. We see, for example, females that come into the clinic are going to have anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds of muscle easily. So if that's 5,000 calories and that person were to actually eat, that comes into the office for the first time, and that person were to eat 5,000 calories, what happens? They gain weight. Well, why is that? It's because their body is not efficient at burning the calories that are coming in, because like we've talked about on previous episodes, and because that person's body is not fat adapted. They're not burning fat calories for fuel, because if you also do the math on that same person that comes in, well, typically that person also may have 100 pounds of body fat on their body. So 100 times that 3,500 calories that every pound of fat carries means that that person has 350,000 calories that is not being burned. So what is that telling us? That tells us that that person's body first is burning the sugars that are coming in, or the carbohydrates for fuel, and it's never getting to the fat. It's not allowing the muscles to efficiently burn the calories that are coming into the system. So there's nothing wrong with having that muscle. In fact, we want that person to have muscle, because it makes our job easier when we're going in there and actually healing that metabolism, because now you take that person with 100 pounds of muscle and that person becomes a fat burning, sexy machine.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the odds are, if you're listening, you've got at least 80 pounds of muscle. So if you're storing body fat, you're just metabolically unhealthy, because you don't necessarily need more muscle or need to go lift more weights or pump more iron. You need to get what you have working for you. So once again, going back to what you said, if you're not fat adapted, if you're metabolically unhealthy, if you have unhealthy levels of insulin and blood glucose, your body's not able to burn the fat it should be burning, but that's a metabolism problem. So just like you can't starve yourself into weight loss. You can't exercise yourself into weight loss on an unhealthy metabolism. If you are, you're pushing the boulder uphill. And what will happen is you'll end up creating an unhealthy relationship attached to not only the food that you eat, but the exercise that you do or don't do. So you'll start saying things like, if I wasn't lazy and went to the gym more, if I just got up earlier and got on the treadmill, if I really just did X, Y, and Z, then I would deserve to be at this good weight. The reality is it may not be your fault. There may be something else going on, and that something else could be a metabolism that's not optimized and working efficiently. And that's something that you can look at and can be assessed and can be corrected in many cases.
Yeah. And the challenge is this, and yes, it can be corrected. The challenge is, I was just thinking about this, even from my perspective, when I was trying to exercise all the time and I was doing it on an unhealthy metabolism. Well, one of the signs also of an unhealthy metabolism is inflammation or pain in the joint. So now you're exercising all the time and you're in pain. Because you have an unhealthy metabolism, now you're putting even more stress onto the body, and the body's finally going to be like, dude, stop it. And that's what my body did when I got injured that way. So that right there is, if you do have inflammation, that's also a sign of an unhealthy metabolism. It's not like, hey, let's work through that. That's called stupid. Yeah. Don't do that. And so fix the metabolic issue inside there. And I guarantee you're going to be a lot happier. And speaking of exercise, when it comes to metabolism, it got me thinking about, do you remember when we had that Dallas Cowboy who came into the office? He had
that's our record case.
He had like 175 pounds of muscle.
No. Oh yeah. He had over 225 pounds of muscle.
Yeah. So he was massive, huge. But he also had a ton of body fat, because here's what happened.
Yeah.
He was playing professional football, doing the workouts all the time, while he was in season, having to stay in tip-top shape, exercising like crazy. And so then you've got the mini camps, all the things in the off season that was happening as well. And he was doing that over a career of about 15 years.
Yep.
As soon as he stopped that, guess what happened? Boom, the weight comes up. Guess what that means? That's a sign of an unhealthy metabolism. Yep. So he comes in, goes through the program. And do you remember what was his weight loss in the 5 weeks? It was insane.
It was like close to 80 pounds.
Yeah. And why was that? Because he had a massive amount of muscle. And now, because he had a healthier metabolism, his body was now efficient at burning those calories. And how happy was he to not have to worry about working out like crazy?
He had this, this incredible like V12 Aston Martin, but no gas, no tires, no oil, but he had the engine, which was the muscle, and it was massive, but it wasn't working for him, which is why he was weighing over 400 pounds. So he had all that muscle, yet gaining all the weight. Metabolically, he even said he would have to eat 10,000 calories a day to even maintain his weight. You can imagine coming out of football with those same habits and then your metabolism suffering. Now his metabolism should be able to burn that many calories just based up the amount of muscle that he had, but he wasn't able to do it. So the more muscle you have, it is a good thing. And this is why men typically will lose more weight than a female. Just basic science. They typically have, maybe 25 to 30% more muscle. So it can be used to your advantage. But at the end of the day, if your body's dehydrated, if you're inflamed, if you're not fat adapted and your body's burning sugar, metabolically, you're not able to burn those calories. So that's where you're going to get stuck and feel frustrated because you're dieting, you're exercising, you're working really, really hard, yet you're not seeing the result. And so even for myself, when I exercise, I'm never thinking about losing weight. I'm thinking about reducing stress. Anybody got stress in here? I got both hands up.
Dude, I got 3 kids starting school tomorrow.
Oh gosh,
a little bit of stress. One starting college.
So
a little bit.
So the stress is there. So I use it for stress reduction, improved mood. Right? People who are depressed. The research is out there. Exercising, getting your body moving, kicking out endorphins, enkephalins. Increasing circulation. There's so many benefits to exercise. But as we've talked about, you just don't want to find yourself in that trap of being wedged in behind. If I don't work out more, then I'm never going to get the weight off. You're making it way too hard on yourself. Start looking at what makes the most sense, especially when your next door neighbor who never works out and they're eating bad and yet they're thin. The only difference is they just have a better metabolism than you. So let's level the playing field, because you can look at your metabolism. It can be tested. And here's what pisses me off. I got triggered earlier today, so I'm going to share this with you.
You got triggered a couple times.
I did get triggered. So no, I get so upset when our current conventional medical system puts out information that misleads people and takes them down a road that always ends up leading to more medication and drugs. Just call it what it is. Screw the word medication.
What did they call it? They called it oral therapy.
It's bullshit, Rob. It's like, no, it's not oral therapy. So they're even doing like metabolic testing to disguise what they're really trying to do.
Yep.
It's all bull crap. I don't want to, I'm trying to keep it PG here, but it's literally, they're using testing and they're using verbiage and vernacular to trick people that you have this metabolic score of a metabolic syndrome that qualifies you now and assists doctors, is what they said, into prescribing or treating people with more oral therapy, which means more drugs for the rest of your life. So you're going to pay them forever, stay on the drugs forever, and not one single drug in existence gets to the cause of the problem. You can't poison people into health. If you give drugs to a healthy person, it makes them sick. Giving drugs to a sick person doesn't make them healthy. And they know they don't work because they want you to take them forever. That's why you keep getting a refill. And it's irritating to me. I know it's irritating to you. And if you're listening right now and you feel frustrated with the system, get yourself out of the system. Take the steps necessary to learn what you need to learn. And I think that's why Rob and you were really equipped to help people get out of the system, because we had to get our own self out of the freaking system. And once the claws go in, they're not letting up. They're relentless. And they don't want you healthy. They want you hooked on the drugs for the rest of your life. And that doesn't mean everybody in the healthcare system and the medical world are evil people. That's not what that means at all. But there are people in power. There are drug companies who are relentless with their marketing strategies, with the lies, the training, and the things they do to deceive people on a daily basis, that if you don't wake up, ask the right questions, and get yourself healthy, and you're a part of that system, it's not going to work. More people are sick right now with heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. More people are overweight and obese. It's affecting our kids. This is the first generation of children that won't even outlive the parents if we don't do something. So I'm getting passionate. I'm getting, this is a spirited tone that I'm coming from, but it's coming from a really good place, because I know what it meant in my own life to break patterns in my own family, to get out of the system, to ask the right questions, to educate myself, and to really be set free. I left the medical cult a long time ago. I'm never going back. And it feels good to know what to do and to be the CEO of your own life, your own journey, and your own health. You can do this. And this is really one of the reasons why we exist. If you're just tuning into us for the very first time, sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes we laugh. Sometimes we try to be funny. But at the end of the day, we care, and we have an obligation, Rob. You and I have an obligation with what we know and what we've been through to help teach more people how to take charge of their health and their life. And this is why we do what we do.
No, and it's because we've been there.
We have.
I mean, we've been there. And that's, like you said, we've got an obligation now to be able to help people with their actual healthcare journey, a true healthcare journey, not the crap that's out there that they're going to be learning from somebody else or somewhere else, which is the medical system. Right?
Yeah, more oral therapy. I mean, I'm livid with that whole term.
No, because they also know that people are saying, I don't want more medications. I don't want more drugs. I can't tell you how many times that we have people come in, and that's one of the first things that they tell us: we don't want more medications, we don't want more drugs. So now they're having to call it something different to trick people into staying in that system.
Totally.
So with that being said, can you fix the metabolism? Can you heal the metabolism? Yes, absolutely. We are living, breathing proof of that. So the first step, you know what? Change your belief system, change your mindset. You can overcome this. Take the first step, and that's, you know what? Get a metabolism checkup, contact us, find out how to do that. We're happy to help you with that. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be out of that medical system and into a true healthcare system. So you know what? Share this, like it, get this information out to more people, because there's too many people out there that are hoping and praying for a solution, and they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, and that was really our prayer this morning, even going on to Good Morning Texas here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, going live. The prayer was, There's people out there right now that are praying. They're begging God for somebody to give them some answers, to give them solutions to turn their life and their health around. And so every time we speak, every time we bring our content to more people, our prayer is that it lands and finds that person that's looking and seeking. If you seek, you will find, right? Knock on the door shall be opened.
Always.
We're here to provide that help. And we hope that we can be an answered prayer for so many of you out there that are listening, because I know for us, we had a lot of people that answered our prayers that has us here today. So we want to pay that forward. So pay it forward, share it, like it. We love you guys. And thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Happy, Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at The Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.